What's happening then, John, right now? What's going on with all this epidemic? We've got the Black Lives Matter movement, we've got the protests, we've got the corona. We don't know whether we're allowed in, whether we're allowed out. What's going to happen? What's your perspective on this? Because I think a lot of people are freaking out right now.
Well, I mean, every so often, every so many centuries or decades or whatever, we have, sometimes years, we have, epidemics, or in this case, a pandemic, and that happens. And there'll be some loss of life, and there'll be some empowered immune systems, and we'll learn new things about virology and new things about the immune system and new things about society, and we grow. And life has challenges, and every time we face a challenge, as Bucky Fuller says, pollution is future solution. Every time we have a challenge, we come up with new, innovative, creative ideas, and we come and we conquer it, and we go on to the next challenge. So this is a temporary challenge. It's not going to stop human beings. It's going to be a temporary little glitch for some people, only because they haven't seen the time and adapted. I always say the inability to adapt to a changing environment is what's called distress. And distress comes from the perception of loss of that which you seek and the perception of gain of that which you're trying to avoid. If you're trying to avoid something and seek the fantasy, a lot of people are depressed because they're comparing their current reality, not to reality, but comparing it to a fantasy, how it used to be, and a fantasy about how it's going to be, it should have been. And they're not present with what it is. And then when they're present with what is and ask, how is this helping me get what I want? Then the depression's gone. Depression's a feedback to let you know that you're expecting fantasies and unrealistic expectations. So whatever's happening right now, as far as I'm concerned, it's going to strengthen human beings and make them more innovative and creative. And the online world has just been boosted. We've all become more efficient. I mean, Amazon has boomed. The old dinosaur type of businesses are going out. That's not anything but normal evolution. And that's for people that had foresight are going to boom. The people that had hindsight are going to bust. That's the way it is. That's the way the evolution of consciousness works. And so I don't see anything out there except a normal evolution. We just had a new challenge. It's something we get to take in. But we will actually learn more about the immune system, more about physiology, health, psychology, business. It's only going to make us more efficient and effective in the future.
During the last few months of lockdown, I remember when lockdown was first announced, it was looking like we were going to be locked down for a while, thinking, how are we going to cope? Not me, but how's just general people, especially people that haven't necessarily got gardens and haven't necessarily got families that are on their own, how are people going to cope? Are we going to fall into an actual depression of the mind? How do you think, what effect do you think it has had on humanity? I've seen a lot of business owners that have done well off the back of it and have, really honed in on their businesses, have profited like you have over the last few months. What kind of effect do you think it's had on humanity?
Well, it depends on the individual. It's never what happens on the outside. It's what you decide to do with it. You're controlling only three things in your life: perception, decisions, and actions. You don't have control in the world around you as much as you have the control of your perception, decisions, and actions around it. So if you take the so-called thing around you and ask, how specifically can I use this to my greatest advantage? How's it helping me fulfill my mission? And answer that question and see the upsides to what you think is a downside. It's not a downside. It's neutral. So if somebody comes to me and wanting to run their story as a victim of a history, I stop them in the middle of the story and I said, I'm not the guy. If you want to run a story, you go to a therapist for that. If you want to transform your life, then stop the story and let's find out how this thing is actually helping you get what you want, and find out how it's on the way, not in the way. And the moment they do, they change the story, because most stories of emotions are usually incomplete. By asking the question, how's this helping you get what you want? And make them stop and go, I never thought about that. Well, how's it helping you? Never thought about it. Well, think about it. How's it helping you? How can you use it to your greatest advantage? What's the opportunity sitting in front of you? And when they do that, they find it, and then they turn it into opportunity. So it's just a matter of the attitude. William James said the greatest discovery of his generation is that human beings can alter their lives by altering their perceptions and attitudes of mind. So true. If we take the time to change our perceptions, and then if we make a decision to change our actions and go to high priority actions and ask, what is the highest priority action I can do today to help me fulfill my mission on earth and serve the greatest number of people with the most sustainable, fair exchange way to earn the greatest income, so I can then delegate, so I can stay on the high priorities again. if I do that and ask that question and see things on the way and ask priorities, there's no way what's happening on the outside is going to stop you from doing what is inspiring to you on the inside.